Welcome to Chapter 4, Climate and Biomes, and this is the Segment 3 video. This is Ms. Thewison. In this video, we will complete the climate notes and go through a number of the biomes. To start, let's go over the rain-shadow effect. I like teaching this concept because I grew up in Southern California, and the Sierra Nevadas create a rain-shadow effect, so we have forests on the coastal side of the mountains and deserts on the inland side. So what happens in the rain-shadow effect? This diagram shows the rain-shadow effect. What happens is warm, wet winds come off the ocean. As they rise to go over the coastal mountains, adiabatic cooling occurs, which causes the moisture to condense, and you get significant precipitation, which results in forest biomes on the windward side of the mountains. When the air crosses over the mountains and begins to descend on the leeward side of the mountain, the air begins to warm due to adiabatic heating, resulting in hot, dry areas, which causes desert biomes on the leeward side of the mountains. And that's the rain shadow effect. Lastly, we need to talk about hurricanes and tornadoes. Hurricanes and typhoons are tropical cyclones. They start in the ocean, and their source of energy is the ocean. If the ocean is very warm, they have more energy. And the longer they spend over water, the more energy they have as well. More energy results in bigger hurricanes. Typhoon is the name for a hurricane in the Pacific Ocean. We call them hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean. When hurricanes or typhoons make landfall, they can cause severe wind damage as well as severe flooding. Since we live in Florida, we have a high risk of hurricanes. Please listen to the warnings before a hurricane. If you are advised to evacuate, you should evacuate. Material things can be replaced, lives cannot. Tornadoes are also dangerous. Tornadoes can form when a strong, dry, cold front collides with warm, humid air. If a tornado touches down, it will destroy everything in its path. We occasionally get tornadoes here in Florida. A tornado can often be heard and is described as sounding like a loud train. If you need to take shelter due to a tornado, it is best to be in an interior room with no windows, such as a closet or a bathtub. You should cover yourself with a mattress for protection. Now we get to move on to biomes. I am only going to go over the highlights for each biome, so please make sure you are reading Chapter 4 in your textbook. First, what is a biome? A biome is a terrestrial region with similar climatic conditions and vegetation. It is actually the vegetation that determines a biome, yet it is the temperature and precipitation patterns or climate that determine the vegetation that can grow in the region. Ultimately, there are three main categories of biomes: tropical, temperate, and polar. Biomes also change as you increase in altitude, so you can have tundra at the top of a mountain no matter where the mountain is. One aspect of biomes that you need to be aware of is fires. Several biomes are supposed to burn on a regular basis, such as the chaparral, grasslands, and savanna. Many plants in the biomes need to burn. Fire is a natural process of rejuvenation, and most biomes are supposed to burn at intervals of every couple years to every 10 to 20 years. Now it is time to actually get into the biomes. We are going to start with the tundra. The tundra is a polar biome that is characterized by low temperatures and very low precipitation and permafrost. Permafrost is frozen ground. During the summer months, the first few inches of soil can defrost, but the soil below is still frozen, making the surface very wet and mushy. The soil is nutrient poor since there is very little material to decompose, and the decomposition is very slow due to the cold temperatures. The plants are small and grow and reproduce very rapidly during the short growing season. The animals are often migratory, moving to lower latitudes during the winter. Because of the severe cold, humans have very little activity in this biome. Yet we still drill for fossil fuels, and global warming is causing an increase in melting permafrost, which is resulting in an increase of methane being produced due to decomposition in anaerobic conditions, and an increase in insects, which can adversely affect other species. Next is another polar biome called the boreal forest. It is also called the taiga, or northern coniferous forest. It is a cold biome that has more precipitation than the tundra. The soil is acidic due to pine needles. There is litter on the ground, but again, decomposition is slow due to cold temperatures. The vegetation is mostly conifers, which are pine trees. They are often smaller than usual due to the short growing season and cold temperatures. The boreal forest is often impacted by logging, mining, the fur trade, and the damming of rivers for electricity. Now we are moving to temperate biomes. The temperate rainforest, also known as a cloud forest, is an unusual biome and only found in a few locations around the world. This biome can be found in Washington State on the Olympic Peninsula. It is characterized by high precipitation rates. It is often very foggy, which is why it is called a cloud forest. Due to its coastal location, the winters are mild and the summers are cool. The soil is old, thin, acidic, and nutrient poor. The vegetation is primarily conifers, with lots of mosses and fern due to the very moist environment. One of my favorite animals found in the temperate rainforest is the banana slug, which can be as long as your hand. The biome is usually affected by extensive logging and the damming of rivers, which blocks salmon migration. Another temperate biome is the woodland or shrubland biome, which is also called the chaparral or Mediterranean. This biome has low precipitation, cold winters, and hot summers. It is often found in close proximity to desert biomes. The soil is usually rocky and nutrient poor, because there is little litter to be decomposed. The plants are adapted to the low precipitation levels by having small waxy leaves to reduce water loss. Some plants are allelopathic, which means that they make the area around them inhospitable to other plants. It is a way for plants to be territorial. The biome has a variety of reptiles and other animals that specialize in dealing with low precipitation. The organisms are usually small, often use burrows, and may be nocturnal to deal with the heat. This biome also has a serious fire regime. It burns quite frequently, usually once every 5-ish years, but it burns a lot. The next temperate biome is the grasslands or cold deserts. Grasslands are also called prairies or steppes. They have some precipitation, but not enough to support trees. The winters are cold and the summers are warm. The soil is nutrient rich due to the high rate of decomposition of grasses. The vegetation is primarily grasses. There is not enough rain for tree growth. The plants are adapted to deal with times of drought and to deal with fires. The animals are usually herbivores or small to medium-sized carnivores. Humans have converted much of the grasslands to agricultural land due to the high nutrient level of the soil. Areas that may not support agriculture due to low precipitation are often used as rangeland to graze cattle, sheep, or goats. By the way, the grasslands also burn quite frequently too. They're on a very short fire regime. The last temperate biome we are going to discuss is the temperate seasonal forest or temperate deciduous forest. When you think of a forest in the United States, it is most likely a temperate seasonal forest. There is significant rainfall year-round. There are cold, snowy winters and warm, wet summers. The vegetation is primarily deciduous trees. Deciduous trees are those that drop their leaves in the winter. This creates a lot of leaf litter on the forest floor, which decomposes, and results in nutrient-rich soil. Humans impact the biome with logging, tree farms, and agriculture. We are now moving on to tropical biomes. Subtropical deserts are primarily located at 30 degrees north or south due to the Hadley cells. Deserts are characterized by extremely low precipitation levels, which is why we have both cold deserts and hot deserts. Subtropical deserts are the hot deserts. The soil is very sandy and nutrient poor. The plants have adaptations to low precipitation rates, such as cactus. The animals also have adaptations to deal with low precipitation and high temperatures. The animals are often small and will use burrows to escape the heat of the day. Their digestive system is also often designed to conserve water, which results in very dry feces and concentrated urine. Humans have no issue with the heat and often use deserts for urbanization and recreation. Deserts are also used for grazing of animals, mining, and drilling for oil. The tropical seasonal forest is also known as the savanna. It has a wet and dry season and warm temperatures year-round. Having warm temperatures year-round is, of course, the norm for tropical biomes. So what determines the tropical biome is the precipitation patterns. The savanna has nutrient-poor soil, but not as poor as the tropical rainforest. It is highly leached due to the high precipitation rate. Leaching occurs when water carries nutrients deeper within the soil. The vegetation is usually deciduous trees, which lose their leaves to deal with the dry season. Often elephants will push down the trees within the biome, keeping the savanna more open to grasses. The savanna is often used for logging, agriculture, and grazing animals. The last biome we will be discussing is the tropical rainforest, which is characterized by warm temperatures and high precipitation levels. Due to these conditions, there is a high level of photosynthesis that occurs. This, along with high decomposition rates, leads to very nutrient-poor soil. The vegetation competes for sunlight, and the trees are very tall. The trees have buttresses to keep them from falling over. Other plants use the taller trees to reach the sunlight, like vines and epiphytes, plants that grow on other plants, like orchids and bromeliads. There are very little plant growth on the forest floor due to low light levels. Primates and birds are common animals, along with reptiles and insects. Many animals live their entire lives in the trees and never touch the forest floor. Much of the world's tropical rainforests have been lost for agriculture, mining, and cattle ranching. This graph shows the different temperature and precipitation combinations that result in the various biomes. You can see the vertical bands of the polar, temperate, and tropical biomes. This will wrap up the segment 4 video. If you have any questions about the content of this video, please let me know, and I will go over it in class. Have a nice evening.